Harold Landry will be an incredibly difficult player for the Titans to replace. Over the last 3 seasons, he leads all edge rushers in snaps played, and he's 6th among edge defenders in total pressures. So even though he's not the most efficient pass rusher, from a pure volume standpoint, there aren't many defenders in the NFL that have produced more over the last few seasons than Harold Landry. He also plays a really diverse role in Tennessee's defense. This table shows snap count percentage based on positional alignment, and you can see Rashad Weaver, Ola, David Anini, and Bud Dupree all play edge defender at close to 100%, but Harold Landry has 5% in the box, 4% in the slot, and that 10% of snaps basically accounts for all of the interesting ways that the Titans use Harold Landry. So right here, Harold Landry is lined up off the ball. The right guard is going to try to close off this gap to the left to try to defend the stunt, and he doesn't see Harold Landry coming, and he gets an easy sack. They can also drop Harold Landry into coverage on zone blitzes and simulated pressures. The Titans ran the most simulated pressures in the NFL last season, and a sim pressure is a 4-man rush where you're dropping a front defender and blitzing a linebacker or defensive back. And most edge defenders like Danico Autry or Bud Dupree, for example, are going to be a major liability if you're asking them to drop into coverage. And even though Harold Landry isn't as good of a coverage player as Fred Warner, for example, he's still adequate in coverage, and he allows you to be more creative with your pressure packages. I think Ola and David Anini are capable of doing a lot of the versatile things that Harold Landry does. I think you could line them up off the ball and they still have the acceleration and bend to get to the quarterback from different spots, but I don't trust them dropping into coverage on sim pressures or defending screens and RPOs the way that Harold Landry can. And I think there's a slight misconception about what Harold Landry's loss means for the Titans defense schematically. Looking at it purely based on the numbers, this 9 to 10% of snaps that Harold Landry plays off the ball, that's not really that much in the grand scheme of things. The Titans are just going to be a little bit more limited in terms of the pressures that they can design. On paper, the Titans have the personnel to survive the loss of Harold Landry. Danico Autry played on the edge 60% of snaps last season, and Bud Dupree had a disappointing first year, but he can be a solid second edge defender. You've got some good depth with Ola, Rashad Weaver, and David Anini. And then obviously you've got Jeffrey Simmons on the interior. So I think the Titans should be fine, but they don't have near the amount of depth that they had a week ago, and so they can't really absorb another injury.